action. We were only looking to see
So, Leute,
who would fill out those final
FNCS,
spots. But Monster,
Fortnite
the caveat,
Championship,
the asterisk
Chapter
there
3, Season 2.
was that these top teams had to keep being
Qualifying.
consistent. And so far, the first little spanner has been thrown into the works.
die
Somebody
Profis da alle
just
machen.
hucked the wrench on in there and said, deal with this. And the question is, how do they deal? Who can step up and get that individual solo effort that we've seen so far? And honestly, if I'm Aegis and Kanata, I'm sitting here being like, this is great.
Yeah, no, it really is great. Their competition of second, I mean, they're hurt, they're down, they're not completely out just yet, and Kanata and Aegis are so up right now. They have a car. It looks pretty decently, you know, healthy as well. It's positioned right underneath this base here, so plenty of space to work with. They have some green pasture as well to go ahead and ride out with a little bit later as they decide to make their late game rotates here. So it is looking pretty nicely, and they have a couple elims, so you know Surge shouldn't be too much of an issue, right? We talked about how once we got around that 70 players alive mark, there was no warning to the lobby, so players don't necessarily know where they are currently standing in the lobby. But if you have a couple elims, I mean, that's enough to know, hey, we should be all right.
Yeah, somebody who's definitely going to be all right. Avery added another one to his total. He's on 4 elims by himself. His and Muzz are trying to make a case to ride in late. It would take a miracle, but hey, weirder things have absolutely happened. As right now, somebody who's just trying to hold on and take advantage. They were our 6th place team coming in, currently slid up into 5th. Sentinels, Bugha, Dignitas, Miro, aka Fat Pikachu 20, trying to find a little bit of space. Miro, I'm begging you to change your name back to a branding. You just got signed by an awesome org. Please. Please, son.
Yeah. Irgendwie immer so ein bisschen nach einer Einheit aus.
Like, hey, is this you?
This is
Wenn die
100%
den
you,
anderen
right?
wegnehmen oder den Style ist ja noch cool. Dann geht's ja auch. Wenn den beide
It's like, come
overnehmen.
on, man. But like everybody knows who Miro is, but we'd love to be able to just give you the proper shout-outs, give Dignitas the love for picking up an amazing player. But right now, we have Violet, Peterbot on the left-hand side of your screen. Tabney and Death. Death has been down. We already talked about Tabney trying to make out the individual effort. Still 65 damage above, so he gets his nice little Storm Surge check. As a solo, you're happy with that, but he's going to need to hold it off here. As OMG Me Too gets his first confirmed that I've seen him.
Yeah, and we're seeing the shots come in because he's building in just wood. Now finally managing to fight his way to those heavy material counts. And this is going to allow him to go ahead and burn some mats here, get some more fortified structures built out. And of course, that extra little bit of help is the difference. But this team in the distance is noticing, hey, this guy is by himself. There's a reason why we were focusing him before. And now you're seeing it come all in, and the team's gotten closer. The squad in the distance is also starting to send in shots. It's not looking too hot. It's only a matter of time now. Under the ramp of the opponents, he starts to fire back and he gets taken out. Tabney falls, and just like that, another position on the leaderboard begins to open up for Yamzo. It might be the same thing too. He does trade though. Beautiful exchange there. That's on to clicks. Talk about a headliner shot there and a big takedown as well to stay in the game here. He might just find another one as well.
Yamzo doing it himself right there. The knock on today. Clicks gets picked up on the other side by Crumble. Then immediately about faces the other duo who's right there. Blop, blop. 2 shots to the face, 2 shots to the body, backs them down. You wouldn't even know he was a solo. Somebody's like, hey, watch out for that duo over there. But it's really just Yamzo running through everyone. That's the left side of your screen. 643 above as a solo on the right side of your screen. NPen and D-Ruler are the only duo underneath. They're sitting on 99 points, and they're 159 below Monster. This is such a huge moment for them on the right-hand side. Rifle shots aren't going to do it. They have to take a wall-to-wall fight. And as I say that, they get obliterated. So unfortunate there. Storm Surge on one side, Drum Shotgun on the other, and that's Mars, the benefactor there. He'll pick up 2. Storm Surge turns off, but we're not quite into the cascading placement points yet. Still 26 duos up.
Yeah, definitely. There are still players up alive here. You want to break into that top 25 and then watch the team start to fall. In the meantime, Kanata and Aegis, though, continue to get active here. They're now in first place here, and they find themselves a refresh or elimination and everything that they need to start really setting themselves up for endgame. This might be the world where we see Kanata and Aegis actually pick up that second victory royale. They have the maps now to play for high ground in this late game if they really wanted to, and they're starting to size up the competition, size up the terrain here. See the rotate. Kanata starts to make a move. Wants to get to the front side of the zone. This is what professional players do so well. This is what separates the pros from the new guys here in finals right now.
Yeah, but there's no way you're getting to the front side of this zone with another bugle zone, and you got that thick boy north side mountain in the way, and on top of it, Jamper and Dukes just taking stock of the lobby, saying who's going first, who's popping a launch pad. So pretty much right at launch height, you can see somebody trying to get a side angle. They're actually going to let that angle go. I would have tried to chop that down as quick as possible. Instead, looking back in the zone, trying to catch the launch padders as they take a straight line. Nobody is quite able to get up to their level of height, so it's really just skeet shooting from Duke right here with the legendary outfit. But what can he find? And so far, the answer is not a whole lot as they lose priority position on the front side of the zone.
Yeah, they definitely do, but out comes the launch pads. They actually go across. Kanata does get knocked here. Armored Wall comes in for the most fortified type of defensive structure you can actually put down in the game right now, but the team finds a new angle, and all of a sudden, Agers has to leave his own teammate behind here. And what looked like a great end game now has come down to a situation where Agers will have to clutch up. He still has a little bit to work with, though. These floppers are great for playing this late zone here. He finds a launch pad, ends up hitting it just in time, and it's a battle for high ground. We don't even know who that is just yet, but judging by the feed, it could be anyone, because players are fighting back and forth here. Peterbot being one of the few that actually find some elims here, and it is still Jamper and Duke who is up top.
Zone bounced right back over to where we just were. We saw everybody break out the launch pads. Nobody's taking to the sky now. Everybody is just sprinting and sliding, dipping, ducking, and dodging, but they're trying to make sure they don't get hunted down from the top. In the bottom right-hand corner, Yamzo still up on his feet, trying to clutch a claw in the top right-hand corner. Agers doing the same for his duo. The difference being about 50 points, and Agers has pretty much locked it up here. A couple more placement points, and we'll be seeing him and Kanata straight to the finals, but high ground still taken away.
Yeah, and they get broken down just a little bit there. Focus from behind there. It's Peterbot who ends up swinging his way all the way on up to the top here, and down he goes. But Yamzo is the man of the hour right now, finding another elimination here as a solo. Keep in mind, he has been this by himself for several zones now and has managed to survive this entire chaotic endgame, and he is doing it in great fashion right now. Still has some mats to work with here. Plenty of enemies nearby. I see Booga. That's a name that you have to continue to focus on. I see Agers still up as well, just a few layers down below. And take a look here. It's Peterbot who's by himself, just holding on, right? Holding on to what is this third place spot.
First, second, third, and fourth all have solos running around, desperately trying to just secure a couple more points. You have second in the top right. You have third in the bottom right, trying to find whatever space they possibly can right now. And that's another one, and that's Peterbot onto Agers himself. He says he'll slap that one down. Those in the top right-hand corner. Peterbot opens up into another box, and he gets it. That's Muzz. Peterbot's making a list. He's checking it twice, and he's trying to go all the way through to the finals on the back of a ridiculous solo effort here in match number 5.
Letztes Mal auch beim Qualifying oder bei diesem Championship habe ich da irgendwas gesehen, da hat
refreshers end up coming through the win
Play des
condition
Tages
begins
oder
to
das Play des
open up for
Turniers
him.
gemacht.
3 floppers,
Also Wahnsinn, was der da gemacht
several
hat mit
big
der Pump.
pots here. Time to start using that inventory and getting it all chucked down.
Weil du musst
Booga is
überlegen,
still
die
alive,
anderen
but
sind ja auch alle
Yamzo
super
is
gut.
trying to do
Das
his
ist ja nicht
best
so, dass
solo
du als
effort
Mutter
as
da
well
bist
right
und die
now.
anderen sind
He's
alle
managed
nicht
to
so.
continue to
Die
stay
sind ja
in the
alle
game
super gut.
to keep this
Da
4th
musst du dich
place
dann erstmal
position up,
durchsetzen.
and all he is doing is racking up placement points after
warum er den
placement points on
Skin
high
spielt,
ground.
verstehe ich nicht.
Threats get swatted out by Duke and company. They end up putting some big hurts on him. Peterbot, though, on the other side, still in the game right now. Armored Wall, that's it. That's his last one now. Here comes the peak. Can he actually overtake this high ground? Can he actually open up the game right now for others?
Right side of the screen, Yamzo, he finds another one, he puts it down, great shot.
Still going, still finding some. That's a huge point swing there too. Here comes the pressure, and finally now Yamzo forced off the layer, and they're chasing here, and he's just gonna chop his way down. He's got this zone lead though. It does seem like it's working for him, and it's a 2-man team who's pushing. Meanwhile, Peterbot sneaking around the outside. Has he actually found high ground? He has. He's right above Duke. Duke doesn't see him. He connects to old builds, and Yamzo and Peterbot are now the 2 solos that are still in this as players trying to maintain their positions, but Peterbot is the guy on height here.
Peterbot on height. We still have Booga up on his feet as well. Peterbot trying to find a little bit of the room.
Oh my God.
High ground take. First shot was huge, but second one put him back down. Duke and Jamper says good effort, but not quite enough. As Miro finds yet another to himself. Booga and Miro rolling through, trying to push themselves clean into the top 5.
Er ist auch alleine.
Look at Miro might actually win this here because Iamzo's forcing his way down, so that's going to open up that second layer. Here comes the breakthrough with the zip line. You'd love to see that. What a shot from Iamzo, so clean. 146. He says, eat that, Cease. And Cease now has to think about it. He gets jumped in by Duke and Jamper. Cease goes down. These are down bodies everywhere. Iamzo is trying to decide who's alive right now. What can I do here? The zone's starting to tick. He's down to just a couple of more ticks inside the storm here. He can't actually stay in for too much longer. Super important that he stays in front here. It's all or nothing now.
1v1.
The shots.
1v1 v2. Iamzo being one of them on the other side. He finds one and he gets the refresh. It's Me Too on the other side, but he gets taken out by Shadow. Now it's just a 1v1 and Shadow trying to run back to Jamper, but High Ground wins the games. The perfect medkit timing from the Luminosity Gaming player. And honestly, Monster, that was just solo efforts all over the place, and I have no clue what the top 5 looks like.
I mean, players are playing so well in that end game, you really couldn't even decide who was going to take it all the way in the end. It was, of course, Jamper with a beautifully timed medkit, and the solo efforts from Shadow, you have to take and tip your hat off to him. But in the end, Duke and Jamper secured themselves a big win, and those are vets that deserve it.
Yeah, and they put themselves into the top 10, into that first page, and into the conversation for the top 5. However, we saw some brilliant, and I mean absolutely brilliant play from the solo efforts of players in the top 5. So plenty of points went over to them. I just want to know what the battle of 4th and 5th looks like.
Yeah, I mean, and we have someone there to break it down. It's Adam Savage and the team.
Thank you so much, guys. Vivstar, SBGZ. Guys, that was a total solo clutch up at the end. I think early on we lost, I think it was Mega and Dubs in 6th position there. Lost them early on, so then 1 through 5 was wide open. At least 3 of those teams, like Iamzo, Peterbot, they were there solo clutching all the way. And Iamzo getting so close to that victory royale, but Jamper and Dukes is on top, on high ground, retaining it and getting the victory in the end there. What a game that was, a game 5 there, Vivid. I mean, where to even begin? That we are so... We're going to look at the leaderboard in a second for you guys at home as well, because we've got to talk about all the different storylines coming at the back of this one. But what did you take from this? I mean, it just goes to show the caliber of players in this, be they in a duo or solo as well.
Yeah, kind of the roles were reversed. We saw Bugha and Mira actually as a duo dominating throughout that endgame, but Peterbot and Byla find themselves in a situation where they need another solo clutch, and Peterbot is there to do it, and he does such a good job. He had those floppers at the end there, and he actually tried his very hardest to sneak up on the high ground against Jamper and Duke, but ultimately, as we saw, it didn't end up working out. But you've really got to respect him to be in a position where he could kind of just play for a couple more placement points, but he's like, no, I'm going to go up the high ground, and I'm going to take this 1v2, and I'm really going to try my hardest to actually get a victory royale. So, gotta respect Peterbot in these situations, but these solo clutches out of this duo today are the reason they are so high up on this leaderboard.
And Vivid and Adam, it's been so long, I feel like, since we've seen one of these high ground takes from Peterbot, and that pretty much should have secured him a top 5 placement unless someone does something crazy here. And if you're Dukes and Jamper, you're sitting there like, all right, yes, we finally won a game. But then you look at it, it's like everyone that was on the leaderboard in the top 5 also made it to the final few zones, and it's like, I have no place to make it up the leaderboard. You see Iamzo, Peterbot, so many players just clutching up, trying to get it, and I really want to see where this leaderboard is, because this has got to be close going into our final match.
Yeah, Jamper and you thinking, just give me a break. Why is everyone here? Everyone's still at the party. I mean, we've got to talk as well. Obviously, you mentioned Mira and Bugha, who are kind of in there as well. They're in 5th position going into this too, which is, you know, obviously we're going to see the top 5 in a second, and the top 10 even, where things are usually still quite open going into the last game here. But for me personally, like watching it all unfold, you can definitely get a feeling that our teams. I mean, you came into this, like Peterbot we talked about at the beginning of the show. Iamzo and DJ came into this. They were all like, riding high, and they're still doing so. And this is how things look going into the final game of Qualifier 1 with 1 to go, Game 6. Aegis and Kanada, there they are, riding high on top, but only by 1 point with Peterbot and Byla in 2nd position on 184. Vivid, this is incredibly close. Top 5, though, is looking like it's just starting to edge its way away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, and let's put our focus on that top 5 because going into this last game, SPG, this top 5 positions are going to secure these players a direct shot in the finals that will happen in just a couple weeks, and it's got to be really, really comfortable for a lot of these top 5 duos because look at this gap between 5th and 6th. Actually, it is 28 points, and that is a lot. That's almost a victory route in its own right. So these top 5 teams got to be sitting comfortable up here.
Yeah, we're going to have to see one of these top teams fall early or at least in the mid game if anyone else wants to make a push for one of those top 5 spots. We saw Jamper and Duke, they pushed their way up. Clarity and Slacks are sitting right there waiting. Mega, Dubs, they're all sitting there, but they have to have an opportunity. If all of these top 5 teams make it into the end game, if they're in that 7th, 8th zone, they've almost all but secured it unless someone does something crazy. But guys, I mean, we've seen plenty of crazy things happen during these games. We've seen a 10 Elim game by Threats himself. He's sitting right outside the top 5, so I would buckle up because we're gonna have an awesome final match.
Yeah, we are, and that's what we've come to expect with NAE as a region in general. Like every single time we have FNCS, it's just constant entertainment because it's so tight at the top. Obviously, as you guys mentioned, top 5 teams already kind of looking like they're edging away, but there's still plenty to play for if one team has a great game and the rest of the teams don't so much. So it's all there. Who is going to qualify? Let us know in the chat. You guys are so involved in this today. Who you think is going to go through? We'll, of course, get to our predictions at some point down the road, but you guys let us know. Over to Sundown, over to MDF. It's Game 6, Qualifier 1. The hype is real. Over to you, boys.
Thank you so much, Adam, Vivid, and SBG. One more match to go, and the top 5 looks pretty secure. The question is, Monster, will anybody upset the apple cart as we head in here to the final game?
That is really what we're starting to look at here. If you're inside the top 5, you have such a nice and comfortable lead over 6th, 7th, and 8th place that realistically, those teams, they have to decide if they want to target those squads, right? Figure out how to position up against them. The Battle Bus is here. We'll see what they decide.
Here we go, one more match, and we'll see if anybody can pull it off. And after that last game, Duke and Jamper made a huge swing, plus 9 position points. Can they do it again? Because it's really going to come down to a victory royale and some eliminations if you want to upset somebody who's not in the current top 5.
It's so true. It's so true. The top 5 teams have gotten such a consistent start to the day here, and other teams dropping a game or two have really just been the deciding factor as to why they are slipping so far behind, trailing behind. For the early game action, for these other teams, it's still a battle for series points here. Sprite and Nounsy touching down first. Look at the Sal coming in hot there with a nice slide. Picks up a weapon first, but there was someone behind him, and down he goes. Nounsy on the other side, though, trying to escape here, does not find anything, and all of a sudden, Lancers is the one who ends up getting his set of eliminations right there.
Yeah, Lancers up on the grassy knoll, making sure he put those shots in. Well, somebody else was covering for him. Fusions was actually the one able to get the confirmation there. A little help from Avery on the other side to close it out. So they'll split the elims, split the points going through, and actually no, close still hasn't been done on that one player, so they're going to close that one out.
There goes a quick finish onto the down player. Here comes the closeout for the teammate, but Jay in the distance here trying to escape out the side here. They have to know he doesn't have a lot of mats, but neither does Fusions. He is sitting on a little bit of the siphon mats, of course, so before they go for the push here, they can cap off. Now keep in mind, there is a lot of material and loot on the outskirts here, right? It's not just all the loot that's inside the command cavern, it's what's on this outer area as well. So plenty to play for, and that's that game knowledge really starting to kick in there. On the other side, a team that's doing a little better than some of the ones we watched earlier, it's Qua in tabs. G, he's gonna find AV out the gate. AV really having a rough day today, being on the losing end of a lot of these gunfights here.
I mean, speaking of rough day, though, I think Dr. Sloan just got a knock in the feed. So whoever that was, that's going to be even rougher in that regard. So definitely not necessarily something you always want to see. But hey, man, Sloan's got them hands. You got to be careful.
Qua here, basing up on top of the reboot card. I'm wondering if they're going to go ahead and hold that one out. It'll be a pretty interesting play for Cam and Bucky. The fight rages on here at the Daily Bugle. See what kind of headliners they can continue to make here as stories are being written out. Easy 2K, you know, they've done a great job kind of maintaining things here. Last game, Cam and Bucky respectively made it all the way through to those final moving zones. You have to give them a little bit of a, you know, a shout there for actually making an end game, because it's been a bit of a tough day here at the Daily Bugle. It's been a somewhat of an uphill battle for them.
Uphill, get it? Because there's a hill around the Daily Bugle. Get it?
Oh, yeah.
Get it? Well, I think it's more so been because there have been very awkward zones when it's come to the Bugle. Like, the zones dropping on top of the Bugle are actually really poor, because generally you want to post up on there and you want players to have to rotate past your sight lines. But if everybody's rotating in, they can kind of box up and know that, like, hey, somebody's going to be on top of the Bugle. Let's make sure we don't give them a sight line. Keeping an eye on the feed, though, Miro picks up another confirmation for himself, and that's going to further solidify. Again, if you're watching the stakes, the teams in the top 5 go through to the finals. That's all that matters for them. First, second, third, fourth, it doesn't matter where you finish, you get a ticket to the finals. Everyone else, you're still competing for series points. So overtaking somebody else could mean the difference between a ticket to the semifinals or you sitting out in the postseason of this FNCS. So still plenty on the line here, but it's really going to come down to if any of those top 5 teams drop out early, then things get real interesting.
Exactly, and we are in the last game, so this is it, the final opportunity for players to actually go ahead and do that, right? Make that story happen, make that finals, honestly, come to fruition here and now, so you don't have to go through those semifinal stages, because things are only going to get a little bit harder as the competition begins to continue on. But for Clix and Day, they know they need a huge game, and we have seen them do this before. When they need to step it up, they step it up, and they go for the fights, and they play fearlessly, and they have done just that right now, already finding 1 elimination. We saw this in that last game too. They found a little bit of success, but it's carrying the success into the end game. It's so much more difficult as you start to make it further. Day is going to get punished, though. As you can see, CH on the other side does not give it up easily, but in the end, Kamado does fall. Clix ends up following up here, and now he's just trying to close this one out. What can Rota do? Nothing much as Riot gets shut down there, and there it is. 2 eliminations for Clix and Day here to kick things off. A big point swing in the right direction, and now they're in 9th place, but they're going to need about, I don't know, 10, 12 more of those maybe, and an end game, maybe a win, to go ahead and snatch up 5th.
And even then, they're going to need somebody else to go down as we catch up with some of the other action happening around the map here. Here's Flu Rhythm, getting some good shots around the side, making sure he's working with his partner there to close it out. Tahi on the other side of it with the drum shotgun. Good little replace and able to follow up and just really battering opponents with the shot. That's really how you want to be using that drum shotgun, is just keep throwing the pellets towards your opponent.
Keep tossing things at the wall and hope it'll stick. Maybe eventually it will for Degen and Iamzo. I mean,
you're talking about pasta, right? That's how you check if it's ready. You toss it on the wall and it sticks.
If there's ever an expert on pasta, we know it's Sundown, guys. He can tell the story at some later date if he feels like it. But for Booga and Miro, yeah, he's the spaghetti man here.
That's the story. It's not that long.
Oh, man. I mean, listen, how did Booga and Miro even find elimination, right? They have these teams basing up here, and they actually get those points, which is interesting to me because it's a long-range early game engagement there. Normally, players will have a lot of shield and whatnot.
I feel like the one thing Booga is fantastic about is he throws shots at absolutely everything. If you move on his map, he has no problem just getting a couple tags. But every now and then, and it's one of the reasons why you very rarely ever see him underneath storm surge pressure. And every now and then, that converts into elimination. Hey, someone else is throwing the tags. Hey, maybe one of them dinks a headshot when the player wasn't ready for it. It can happen coming through, especially without sniper rifles. Sometimes people like to hang their heads out there just a little bit longer. As we can see right now, Mars and Crumbler, they're trying to make their own push, currently 11th, just outside of that front page. And they've done all right in terms of getting eliminations, but done much more in terms of getting placement points. But they're going to need a combination of both. And there's a good one there, taking out Enkos.
Yeah, and Q's ends up falling there. Marzo, W, and Crumbler, man. Talk about, you know, the sleeper duo sliding on in, finding eliminations, and taking out some pretty big teams, right? If only they had not fallen a little bit early, around that 4th game or so, things could have been different for them. They could have been in that striking distance for the top 5, but right now it is it's a dream. It's a dreams away, as they are just outside of that reach because of the point threshold. But it still comes down to whether or not 4th, 5th, 6th, right? These teams end up falling or not being as consistent as they'd like.
But even then, with the faster pace of the lobby, those placement points start to add up. One more duo going down will mean that first placement point ends up getting gifted out. And that's where the tournament management mode ends up coming in. You recognize the fact, hey, each placement point we get is a point that the opponents can't also close on us, right? Not getting knocked out, like, yes, they might get the point, but you get it too, so they don't close any of the delta. It means they have to keep pressing for eliminations, and each time you take a fight, it's a little risky. Like, yes, you might think you're better than a duo on the opposite side of you, but every single duo in this lobby, when given the opportunity, can win a fight against every other duo.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen. We've seen upsets. We've seen, honestly, expectations being met between some clashes and everything in between, honestly. For Bugha and Miro getting back on track here with the team that's making a rotate. I mean, I was so just interested in how they were going to perform out of their drop spot without those big whiplash vehicles, those upgraded Chonkers tires, and they have surprised me by far. They have managed to stay consistent. They have managed to find eliminations, and they're doing it in championship fashion. It really does just put a microscope onto why they are FNCS champions, why they've managed to do this multiple times now on the big stage, and they continue to perform now. In this 5th place spot, I mean, it's still on the line. It's still going to come down to this last game, but if history tells us anything, it's that they're going to have a strong last game, and they've managed to do that so far. They're one of the few teams that actually have an elimination right now.
And checking on our 6th place team, as Vivid so aptly noted at the start of it, there's a 28-point gap. And each one of those placement points that gets taken out, you don't get to close that gap. So Slacks and Clarity, if they want the ticket to the finals, they need to chop, hop on the horse, put the pedal to the metal. Some other euphemism for going fast, insert it here, because the time is ticking and it's just past the hour right now.
Yep, and if your day in clicks, the story is the same for them as well. Many eliminations separate them from that 5th place spot and that chance to the finals. That quick ride to the finals. But the game has continued to battle, right? The lobby has continued to fight here. Let's take a look at some of those fights that have gone down. Early action here at Tilted Towers. Jack and Illis, that's the 2nd time we've seen the stylish slide up, followed by the shotgun shot right there. You love to see the flashy plays come out. Talk about big plays, though. Duke in the feed, perhaps a Redux and Plague. Dignitas is Duke, man. Another, again, we talk about the pickups from Team Dignitas entering into the space here, and their teams are doing so well right now.
It's Miro, Duke, and P-God, right?
P-God, yep.
Nice, yeah. I saw, unfortunately, P-God being unable to qualify today, but the other two absolutely showing up. I mean, Dukes has been around for a very long time. He's put in the effort, just won an FNCS, being able to come through, and right now you can see Tabney and Death still just trying to hold on. They've been honestly one of the more consistent duos game plan wise, doing a very good job with it, making sure they're staying mostly center of all these rotations, getting up high and utilizing just high quality rifle aim to stay above the Storm Surge tags and then let them play endgame.
And I really do respect players like Death and Tabney who just keep their head down and keep their focus on the game, practice week in and week out, take advantage of all opportunities and play every tournament. It's a major. You have to appreciate players that put in that additional effort. And you know what? Dubs and Mega do the same as well. If you just look at Dubs' track history, I mean, he paired up with Rogaine recently in a Cash Cup and took home that W. And that's something that's impressive across the board because you have the best of the best playing in there. Now, of course, his signature duo Mega for the finals, 4 FNCSs. They've been doing so good. That last game, I can't believe they were taken out over at the Sleepy Sound there, all because of their hunger to pick up the airdrop.
Yeah, we're trying to hawk that launch pad, knowing how valuable it would be, but ultimately they got hawked in the end, picked out as prey. what could have been a fortunate situation for them, but instead turns unfortunate. And we have 5th and 6th pretty much right on top of each other. Booga and Miro with Slacks right above him to the side. So that would be the fight that needs to happen. If Slacks is able to kind of get some advantage, get a press down on him. You can see Booga and Miro not quite sitting at full HP while they do have still plenty of excess heals. So if they can get the drop on him, there is a potential. Jamper picks up Bucky, so still adding to the total.
Yeah, definitely racking up a little bit here, but again, Miro making a move right now could be potentially dangerous for them.
Duke
if
down.
The team on top, if Slacks and Clarity end up sneaking onto the side, Dookie is going to get knocked here. So back and forth exchanges here. Jamper has to play for the save.
No.
Can he save the body? No, not quick enough. Just a little late. And now it's Jamper versus Cam. It's Cam, who's just young, fresh, and so good in these kind of battle situations up against the vet Jamper, who's been here before, who can keep his composure in these final game 1v1 last game situations. Boxes up Cam, makes him look like the new player that he is, but no. Cam slips away here. Launchpad comes out, bangs the tree. What a fight.
I was about to say, tough launch pad there, and as Jamper, he looked around saying, hey, wait, how did you actually get out of here? There's a tree above, and he didn't go too far. He should know that Cam is right on the other side of it, looking to potentially still press this fight, but he really wants to go back for the card. You can tell that he's trying to hawk the card. He wants to be able to pick it up, but based on the zones, I'm not sure he's going to have the opportunity to make that play unless he can resolve that fight quickly. On the flip side of that, Day and Click still up on their feet. 3 eliminations to their name now.
Once again, this is that last game. If you're down and out, if you're sent back to the lobby, it is wraps. Your tournament weekend is over. There's nothing you can really do about it.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say weekend.
You know
your tournament Friday.
Right.
We'll be back Sunday.
We do have Sunday. Your weekend's not over. Just today's chance is done. You do have another shot this weekend. You're right. You're absolutely right. More action to come here. A little bit of a different pacing, though, right? More demanding because you have to play those rounds to get to that broadcast setting once again here. And again, shout out to everyone watching along here, whether you're inside the game at the Legends Landing or, of course, following along in the Twitch chat. It has been exceptional watching you all kind of chime along and root for the players. This is a new kind of turning for the community, and we love to see it. But for Jamper, hold up. The fight is continuing here. The standoff between Jamper and Cam. Remember, Jamper's in 7th right now, Sundown. He's still fighting for this 3 eliminations, meaning he really has done a valiant effort to try to close that gap.
Yeah, but now as a solo, I mean, there is a reboot van right out in the open on the edge of zone, so I'm not saying there's a chance, but I'm saying there's a chance. You see Clicks picks up another pair in the feed and hold the phone, don't drop it, won't break right now, but potentially the NRG duo, they've pushed from 11th up to 9th so far, and he's going for it.
Hey, we said they need about 10 elims. If he starts this van, I'm willing to bet.
Cam is going to obliterate him if he starts it.
Or Clicks and Day are going to come on in and take this fight because they need it too. Chimp's there. What, Chimp wants it too? Oh, gosh.
Everybody is just hawking this reboot van right now, and I mean, he heard that chug splash. There's no way he didn't hear that chug splash.
He's looking, sees the build come out, sees the trees rustling as well. Player on the side too. There's a lot going on here. It'd be so risky.
If he gets both of these, it's huge, and we do have Clicks and Day on the opposite side of him. We're going to take a look at the elimination they did just pick up.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, what?
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, it feels like they're playing a different game than Fortnite when I play Fortnite, because that was just gross.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why they are a different breed when it comes. When they want it, they want it so bad. Watch how fast they end up just committing. They commit, they go all in, they go for these box fights, they both hit the shots, they shut that player down. That's 6 eliminations now. We know they need to get to 10, maybe 11, maybe 12 in the end game, and they're doing it right now. They are halfway there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're rooting for them, I mean, they are putting on the show for us.
You can see there's still 2 more solos there. They're not aware of that fact.
Everywhere.
They got 1. They could push through to that. There are still plenty of people up on their feet without a partner. 2 of the 3 solos are over on that side of the map. They're going to rotate behind, but honestly, that could have been an opportunity for them to pick up even more points. And right now, over to our current 4th place team, Iamzo, Degen, 169 in terms of points. Jaith picks up Larson. Cash gets Quanti, and then Larson turns it back around onto Cash. You see Iamzo trying to get a line onto Jam in his duo as Degen, just ripping shots away. And look at this angle.
Yeah, no eliminations yet for DGen and the Yamzo. They're just living off the placement points, chipping away at the big iceberg, trying to reveal that top 5 at the end of the day here. But it's going to continue to take more and more work. 44 players left in the lobby. That's a lot of points that continue to be dispersed out. For teams like Clix and Day, for teams like Slacks and Clarity G, I mean, the points are being eaten up right now.
Don't forget, we're into the cascading placement points as well. 22 duos up. We're just into the 4th zone. There's no 5th zone Storm Surge, so Storm Surge might not play a factor at all here in game number 6, but those placement points are a ticking, and each one is a point that you're not able to make up. That means the timer is moving that much faster. The sand in the hourglass got a little wet, and gravity is doing its thing, pulling it down. I actually don't know if that's how it worked. It might clog the bottom. I don't know. That was a shy wager, analogy, metaphor, whatever. Just pretend it made sense, and it was really cool. As we hop back on board here with the energy duo, and honestly, Monster, zone dropped right on top of their head, but they don't want to wait. They want to take this fight immediately, and that's Tabney on the other side of that. Him and Death, if they could pick that up, that could be huge.
And you can see they double back. They want to say, hey, are there other teams behind us? Can we choose anyone else to key right now? And the answer is no. So the options here are Tabney and Death. That's who they want to battle. That's who they want to just honestly finish off if they can get anything. Click says, hey, let's go back here. The zone's starting to, you know, swing this way. We can get a front of this.
Yeah, but Monster, they're still 41 points behind Booga and Miro right now. Like, yes, they're doing well. Yes, the 6 eliminations, the 18 points, that's monstrous. But they need to do that basically again. They need to double their eliminations.
I'm telling you, they can. They absolutely can. We've seen it before. And with the way all the other teams that are in the safety position right now, a 4th, 5th, and 6th are playing, I mean, the opportunity to do it is actually here because everyone is playing slow. Here it is. That's one player. Here's another. Will they start from underneath? Yes, because the box is... Ooh, he tries to cone off. Devi almost catches him, but instead, Day's going to go in. He's fully committing. 3rd place might just be on the line here. That's a tag there. Tries to grab the wall. Clicks doesn't quite get it. Swings around to make sure this is his teammate, and it is. Unfortunately, could not get enough damage to go ahead and finish this one off, but miscommunication between the two. Day still wants to continue it here. They're starting to re-engage, reinitiate here, decide once again, and there it is. Into the box they go. It's going to come down to this. Day's down. Can Clix get the finish here? He does not, and just like that, all hope might just be lost. Clix is by himself here.
Oh man, it looked like they were gonna have the open up and the opportunity to press, but the team fire was just better from Death and Tabney, able to defensively take that fight, saying, hey, they're knocking pretty aggressively. Let's drop the defense. Let's pour the boiling water out the front, kick him in the moat, get him with the crocodiles, whatever other defensive measure you need to take. They had it there and were able to shut that down, but and Booga still up on his feet. He picks up an elimination. The placement points are ticking away, tick-tock on the clock, and if you're not in that top 5, you gotta be sweating. However, I do like the way Clarity and Slacks are going about this. They're saying, hey, one of those teams goes down and we play for the win, knowing that if they get the elims, they'll come, but they need the win and whatever else.
That's right, Slow and Steady can win the race here. Dubs and Mega are still also in this game here. A small glimmer of hope for those teams too, but Booga and Mero have not found any eliminations. They are just barely above the surge here. Of course, looking to just wait it out, buy their time. The longer it takes though, the less likely it will be for everyone else here. Clarity G finds one as well. That's another pickup for them, a 3-point swing, and now to the front zone they go. Someone new, though, is starting to build up for height. They're going to land right on top of them. They are truly playing for the win, and that's that new mechanic right there. Clarity actually climbs on up to the build off of the slight mishap and the miss there, and they are the kings of high ground. Now at 2 eliminations, can they find a little bit more?
Dubs and Mega taking down Clarity. Good striker pump shot towards the side. They're able to pick that up. Zone going to bounce and pull its way south, away from any old builds, and Death and Tabney got about 6 builds between the two of them, so their time might be up if they can't find a refresh. It's Clarity and Slacks, they have the high ground and they're playing for the dub. Peterbach goes straight up, he's looking for a window, but speaking of a window, Miro opens one up and he gets it immediately slammed on his fingers. He says, ouch, that hurts. He's gonna pop his shield back up, and there's a battle for height, Monster. It's a battle for height, and this could be it.
This is Peterbot trying to go for height. They want to win this game and win the first place. They want to take it all home in fashion. They're doing just that. They have nothing to lose. And for Clarity and Slacks, everything is on the line. That's the different pressure between the two. Decision now. They have to give it up here if they want to stay in the run right now. And down they go. And honestly, this might actually work a little bit better for them because they need the points. They have to get into this activity right now.
Yeah, they need the points. You see Degen going down, but again, he was so far up. Eam's still doing well. We still have pretty much everyone in our top 5
they go
up on their feet, but Slacks finds Degen on the opposite side of it. That's the fourth place team on the other side, trying to get everything they can.
That's a huge elimination right there. 4th place is now down and out. That's one of the pieces of the puzzle there completely finished. And this is going to start to open things up a little bit, but there is still so much more that needs to be done here. Slacks now, 142 points. Can they find these double eliminations down low? They need to commit here for Booga and Miro. They've only gotten a single elim. They're starting to run out of material here. No more armored walls either. And that's it. Defenses are down. Slacks and Clarity G starting to pop off here. 4 eliminations, 17 players in the lobby. 15 can be theirs if they get active here and now. Can they? Oh no, the pressure from behind, the flick shot there. It was good, but doesn't quite finish. Miro is down. Booga is down. Clarity G is up. Couple of points here. And if they fall now, it's over. And it is done there. The only place that's available is 7th, and that's Rise here. He's going to need to do everything and more if he wants to secure it. There goes an elimination. But we might just have seen the full solidification of our top 5 there, Sundown.
Yeah, I mean, we still saw pretty much everyone in the top 5 make it to the top 10. We'll be seeing that same top 5 in the finals, and honestly, there's a reason there was a gap heading into this game. They just played better on the day, and Peterbot and Byla, they're gonna flex on that #1 spot, saying we don't just want to finish first, we don't just want the momentum, we want everything that goes with it. But honestly, Shadow and Me Too, these last 2 games have earned themselves a bunch of series points. 2nd place at least in back-to-back games, and some good pressure on the Byla, trying to slap him down here and deny the victory royale.
This is still a great fight, though, for the flashy win, and Peterbot finds a great side angle, gets exchanged back. Byla tries to get the pickaxe, but no, the disrespect was not enough. Shadow holds his own and manages to save his reputation. He doesn't get pickaxe, not today.
Hey, and honestly, if you're Me Too and Shadow, you'll take that. A VR and a 2nd place really late on, but honestly, you gotta respect. You have to respect Byla and Peterbot. You know the comms at the end. He's knocked. Pickaxe, pickaxe only, pickaxe only. He was going for it. He had about 1 HP. It was there. But the siphon ended up coming out, and OMG, Me Too, Matrix Shadow will win the final game. But no surprises, no dramatics when it comes to the top 5. The top 5 from last game, Monster, they're the top 5 this game, and for good reason.
Absolutely. Everyone played incredible coming into the end. Of course, we try to root those other parties up, but at the end of the day, the ultimate consistency comes through for our top 5 teams there, and you love to see it there. In the end, though, OMG, Shadow, and Me Too can celebrate with the victory royale. That is still no easy feat here on the FNCS qualifier stage, especially looking at the last round when finals is on the line. So every team that did get a win today can still keep their heads up.
Oh yeah, you have to keep your head up. And again, it's not just the top 5. Everybody else is still competing for series points, still competing for a slot in the semifinals. And don't forget, we got a little bit more time. We'll be back again tomorrow with rounds 1 and 2, and then we'll have 3 and 4 going through on the Sunday. So make sure you're paying attention, playing those games out. But we got our top 5, and again, no real surprises. Peterbot, Byla, 2nd place in the last game, thanks to a couple of near-miss pickaxe swings. G2 Agers, Kangarna, Kanata, Elite, Death, and then Kony Owner, aka Tabne, Degen, and Iamzo, and then Dignitas, Miro, and Sen Booga rounding out the top 5.
And a great showing from all of them there. Again, just gapping the competition from 6th and company by about 20 or 30 points or so. So these teams absolutely played phenomenal. That's where you go ahead, you hit the reviews, you see what worked for them, because clearly they were on top.
Yeah, they were able to run it out. Let's take a look at what the top 10 leaderboard was and how that gap ended up forming, because again, the top 5, a really good push from Slacks and Clarity G. If they've been able to put it together, get that victory royale, get the extra points, they might have been able to sneak it away. But like I said, they had to play for the win. See Threats and Rise, Illis and Jock, Day and Clicks, and then Shadow and Me Too rounding out our top 10.
Man, how crazy would that have been if Slacks and Clarity G did it? They took out Miro and Booga. Had there not been that little bit of resistance on the storm line there, it would have been the complete difference there, Sundown, at the very end. But that was NA East for us. What a 6-game series we had.
Yep, that was it. 6 regions down, but we still have one more, and we're going to throw it right on over to them. NA West starts right now. Kelly, Panda, Clay, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sundown and Monster D, Face, and everyone from the NA East crew. If we have even a sliver of the action that we just got to see from that action, then you guys are in for a treat. Welcome, everyone, to the FNCS Chapter 3 Season 2 Qualifier Day 1. We don't have time for hype pieces or for trailers. We're hopping right into the action. And to do that, I have Panda and Clay joining me right now. Panda, how's it going, man?
Super excited to dive into these games because if it's anything like East and EU today, it's going to be hype. What do you think, Clay?
I am feeling the exact same way. It's going to come down to that last match for the top 5 to qualify through.
All right. Well, we have to take a quick look at our broadcast schedule because maybe you guys are just joining us for the first time and you don't know what exactly we're here for. Well, this is Qualifier 1, everyone. This is the 50 teams' chance to jump into the finals. Those top 5 teams going to be able to do that. But they're going to have another chance in 2 days on Sunday. That's May 8th. And then one more chance, everyone. We're adding another qualifier to this season, and that's going to be next week. But of course, all of that leads into the semifinals where our teams are going to have one more shot over 3 days to take their ticket into the finals. And of course, as you can see, May 28th, May 29th is going to be a 2-day super final affair. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you put that down into your calendar. But of course, to even make it into the finals, Panda, they're going to have to compete in our competition.
They absolutely are, and this is how the format's going to look, right? Obviously, we'll dive into the semifinals and the finals when that comes, right? But we got to talk about the qualifiers because that's where we're at right now. Now, there are 3 different chances to advance. We have qualifier 1, 2, and 3. This is qualifier number 1, and in each qualifier, we have 4 individual rounds. The round that we are watching today is actually round number 4. So they have competed up until this point to get into this lobby here for round 4. Now, the top 5 from this round will advance to the finals, but that's not all for these teams, right? So these teams are also going to be focusing on being consistent throughout not only this qualifier, but the other 2 as well for an opportunity to make it through series points, Kelly.
It's going to be a hard journey for a lot of these teams right now, but another change that's been added to the FNCS is that eliminations are now 3 points each. So I definitely think that we're going to be seeing some W key games right here. And possibly a team that's going to be bringing some W keying is Quinn and Defiable, the first duo that we're going to be focusing on right now. And we're taking a look at them because they came out of round 3 in first place, Panda.
They definitely did, and with Daily Bugle contested, it's going to be a tough drop for them. But if there's any brain in the NA West side of Fortnite that can handle it, it's Quinn. This man knows how to handle these high-pressure situations. And then adding Defiable to the team, again, just an all-star player throughout NA West. This is what you love to see. There in round 3, they got a total points of 141. They got 2 VRs out of their games, and they average 6.56 eliminations. That is no easy task, to say the least, and they were able to accomplish it.
And look, it's just so good compared to some of the stats that we have seen. And Panda's completely right. Quinn is notably the one around NA West that everyone goes to for that IGL brain-like plays. And so I'm excited to see how they adapt this, because 21 average placement is not what we would expect out of them. We'd expect them to be a little bit higher up. And we know when they get into those set lobbies, when it's less unpredictable, like Panda was saying, they can definitely pop off.
Definitely. During round 3, obviously they had a great performance because they got first place, but it kind of seemed like they were either really hot or really cold. I think they had 5 games where they placed above 6th place, and then they had 4 games where they placed below 40th. So going to be interesting to see how they're going to be competing today. But of course, when we talk about NA West, we'd have to talk about some of the best players that this region has to offer. And chat, I think you guys know who I'm going to be talking about. It's Arkram and Epic Whale. Clay, FNCS champions 7 times over, but last season, not the best performance we've seen out of them.
You know, they didn't get off to the best foot, and that's okay. They're coming back with a vengeance. They're landing right here in the middle of the map where they landed last season at Coney Crossroads. It is looking so much better, though, for them because of the extra loot there, just everything. They're going to be fine. And as you look at their total average eliminations, it's looking great. This is where we expect to see them. I think they got 10th overall, maybe 4th overall in round 3 coming through. And so I'm excited to see how they play this out.
You know, I'm excited too, right? I had the chance to talk to Epic Whale through Media Day, and he was very confident going into this FNCS in comparison to last season, right? He talked about how he was contested off spawn, how that caused a lot of issues for him in Arkham early on. And so now they're looking forward to not being contested any longer. But obviously, being contested is only kind of a shield that you can hold on to for so long, right? Now that you're uncontested, we have to see a dramatically different performance here from them to reinstate the confidence from the West Coast that these are these champion players. But you know what? Listen, if anybody's going to be able to do it, of course, it's Arkham and Epic Whale.
And just looking at their stats that they had from round 3, we saw them grab a first place finish with 15 eliminations, obviously doing a great job in the end game, but also they had a 20th place finish with 14 elims. So even when they're not placing that well, which we know you kind of need a little bit of both eliminations and placement, they are still able to grab those much needed elimination points, which again are 3 points per elimination, so much more important now. But a team that we obviously have to look towards again, the reigning champs, it's Favs and Snacky.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are the boys. I obviously didn't have necessarily the same confidence I had in them in seasons past last season, and they showed up and they said, you know what, Panda, don't even sweat it. We're still going to win it anyway, right? It was all about the Batman Booga and Wheels for me last season, but then Snacky and Favs, they came up, showed out, and came out as champions. Now, back-to-back champions, mind you, and here's why. They're able to not only do very well in high pressure lobby situations like we're about to go and experience, they're also very good at getting eliminations and really decent average placement. Now, this isn't necessarily the average placement we're used to from Snacky and Favs here that we saw in round 3. However, with an average elim of 5.3 and them still being able to get a VR, Clay, I can definitely see them coming out on top today.
You know, I doubted you last season, Panda. I'll admit I did, but you know, this season, this was my second choice of teams to go with is Snacky and Favs, because you're right. They are really good at getting eliminations. And if they can do that in a set lobby, they're qualifying.
And what? They got a Victory Royale with 20 eliminations. I don't even know if any other team was able to do that in round 3. Obviously, round 4 is a different beast. I don't know if we're going to be seeing a 20 bomb, but I'm asking for it right now. Favs, Snacky, if you want to provide a show for the audience, give us another 20 elimination VR. You are going to be set going into the finals with that. And obviously, they have all the momentum going into it right now. Everyone, I know you want to get into it right now as well, but we have just a moment before we hop into game number 1 for NA West. And I actually want to compare 2 of the best teams that we have in NA West right now. Of course, that's going to be Arkham and Epic Whale and Rex and Reet. Now, Rex and Reet, an incredible team right here. Reet being one of the most volatile players in the entire game, pretty much winning every single cash cup from every region ever, joined by Rex, who used to be a trio of Epic Whale and Arkham. Now, Clay, real quick, talk to me about this matchup that we're seeing right here.
It's definitely elim heavy versus Victory Royale heavy. Just look, you see a little bit more average elims there. We know Rex and Reet can put those elims up on the board, while Arkham and Epic Whale are really going to be focusing on that placement. You can see in the highest point game going 40 to Epic Whale over the 33 from Rex. So it's kind of the dichotomy of those two is one of them is going to be very focused on those placements, while one of them is going to be trying to elim their way to those placements.
Yeah, and one thing I really got to mention, right? You look at average placement, average elims, right? Both are better on Reet and Rex's side. However, Epic Whale and Arkham have that comeback ability, and it's crazy to watch. We've seen it time and time again, whether it's the finals, qualifiers, etc. They always have this breakout moment, whether it's they've fallen behind or it's in a separate game, whatever the case may be. They know how to come back and have big point games, which is why the average placement and the average elims didn't matter. They still had more points than Rex and Reet. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all unfolds, but it's getting ready to unfold, Kelly.
It is indeed. Everything will unfold in just a moment, but of course, it's the best part of the day, everyone. Predictions, and let us know in chat right now who you predict to be in first place for NA West. And as you can see, A lot of us kind of have the same opinion of Epic Whale and Arkram, but Panda, you seem to disagree.
Okay, look, guys. This happens every season with Epic Whale and Arkram. I don't know what it is, right? But I will say this. I had a really good conversation with Ree earlier today. Very, very confident. He had really good strategy going into today with Rex. That's why I'm confidently picking them to qualify on. That doesn't mean Epic Whale and Arkram won't qualify. I just feel like with it being 3 points per elimination, Reet and Rex know how to get those elims, and clearly based on the round 3 results that we saw there, they know how to stay alive as well. That average placement was surprisingly better than Arkram and Epic Whale, but let's see if they can combo that here in this lobby, because this NA West action is about to be underway.
I mean, we all know, though, Panda, that victory royales are where it's at. And who got 2 of them in their run? It's going to be Epic Whale and Arkram. We know that, like you said, they have that comeback potential. And what's better to show it off than the season after you got dethroned?
That is, I mean, pretty much this opportunity right now is their time to claim their spot back on top, because they won pretty much every single FNCS of Chapter 2 from Season 3 on. Of course, they were with Rex, though, so it's kind of hard to pick between Rex Reet and Arkram Whale and Epic, or Arkram and Epic Whale. But, you know, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to look into. But, Chad, I know what you guys want. You want the game. You want the action. You're ready for game number 1. Everyone, if you're just joining us right now, this is Chapter 3, Season 2, Day 1 of the qualifiers. 5 teams are going to be finding their spot in the finals in a few weeks right now. But before we can even get into that, we have to get into the game, everyone. So we're going to be seeing you after game number 1 is done. But for now, we're going to be tossing it to our 2 commentators. And guys, who better to bring it than Jacob PR and Takada?
Thank you oh so much, Kelly, Clay, Panda, breaking it down from the schedule, the format, the duos, the drop spots. They're doing everything necessary to get me excited for game number 1. But Takada, our resident pro player, you got to let me know, how are you feeling? And how are some of these players feeling heading into game number 1?
I mean, look, game 1 can be a bit nerve-wracking, especially for the players who don't have as much experience, right, in these 50 duo lobbies, right? So this is an important one. If you start off with a strong game 1, you're going to be going forwards with that confidence, with that momentum, and you'll be able to power through. But if you don't have too good of a game 1, you're going to have to showcase that mentality, right? Can you keep it strong, keep it moving forwards, and then pop off in the next games?
Yeah, I like that. You're the resident pro player. You know, I trust you. I trust your judgment, carrying me out of Tilted Towers alive. And that's what a lot of these duos are going to hopefully see. Big games, big eliminations. And if things go wrong, like Takada said, that they have that duo. They built enough chemistry and a game plan to survive everything that's thrown at them. But luckily for you guys, the battle bus is ready. And so is game number 1.
First match of the day, the battle bus is just getting its engine started here. 6 total matches today. We have the veterans of Fortnite competitive. We also have some of the new faces here in the NA West region. Let me know your favorite duos in the chat. I want to see who is being rooted for today, but we're going to be getting right into the action here in the Daily Bugle. We've got Defiable, we've got Notarux. We have so many duos that are just getting into this action, Jacob. I mean, I'm feeling hyped up.
And we got a full-on elimination already. Pars wasting no time, sending Solution back. Rex taking a piece of that pie, as well as Defiable and Quinn, the duo that ended up in first place throughout round number 3 of the qualifiers. And they're looking to kind of mimic that here in our finals. But one of the biggest things that our analysts did break down to perfection is there's a play style differential. You have to change up not only how you play, but your thought process, because this is a final set lobby. Everybody here knows exactly what to do in this situation.
I mean, yeah, if you're contested here in the Daily Bugle game 1, you're most likely going to be contested again in game 2. So you have to adapt to your opponents, note down what their strategy is, how they're playing, and then just overcome it, right, as the games go on. So this could be an engagement here that they decide taking, or maybe if they feel like they have enough loot, they can disengage. But I know a location here, which is very contested in the Covert Cavern. I mean, you can see how many duos are on the mini-map at the bottom right. This is going to have some engagements wins in this early game.
Yeah, this has the power of at least 2-3 Suns. That's how hot this drop is, and you can see it. Batman, Booga, and Wheels with, honestly, a little bit of struggling performances coming into this one. I don't think that is going to affect them too much because they've already seen the worst of the worst that can happen. They've already had that practice, and a huge game plan switch in this finals lobby is going to be needed. And I think, honestly, Takata, I think they're going to have what it takes. Wheels is one of the best IGLs when it comes to the West region, taking such a young gun underneath his belt, and is not only helping him perform, but he's helping develop this kid and making him one of the best, not only players in the region, but streamers as well.
And speaking of the best players in the region, we have our previous champions here, Favs and Snacky, who are going straight into the Tilted Towers. This is a drop spot which can be pretty dangerous. It's pretty heavily contested, so you know that if a duo is dropping here, especially in a round 4, they've got the confidence and they've got the mechanical skill to come out on top.
Yeah, luckily for them, you know, it's a little bit of changes coming with Tilted Tower, so it's not going to be as contested as it was in the past. So it's going to allow a team like Snacky and Fabs the early game that they're looking for. Loot up, mat up, get exactly everything that they need, and then they could be on the hunt for Surge thereafter.
Taking a look here, though, at Panda's pick for today, we've got Rex and Reet, who are dropping uncontested in Greasy. You can even take a look here. Rex, look at that aim. You know he practices it as he gets a knockdown right off the start of the match onto Etso, playing it for Fusion Esports, but also Pars, who's contested here in the Command Cavern. I mean, you can see all these engagements happening so quickly into the match, Jacob.
Yeah, and you kind of heard my doubts during that NA East game while we were watching in the green room. That's such a real 50-50 drop, more than I've ever seen, going for the slurp truck to try to get your shields back up. And if you find that combat, the shot's going to be that much easier. Pars and Ray is a duo. Honestly, they took Fabs and Snacky to the wire last season, going down in the very final game, which gave up their run. They still placed in the top, but I know that's not what they want. They want that pickaxe of champions. They want to call themselves the best team, just like this team in front of us, Arkham and Epic Well. For multiple years, multiple FNCSs in a row, they have been known as the best team in the region, hands down.
Oh, and you can see getting to the game 1, they do have their drop spot uncontested, so they're feeling pretty good. But taking a look here at Evol, who's going to get into an engagement in the first zone, trying to actually secure the high ground here as he's going into a third party. There's already a duo in this engagement, so if they pick the timing right, this could be huge for them.
Yep, team so good when it comes to playing the end game as individuals. It's when they find themselves in this exact spot towards Synapse Station at the edge of the entirety of the map, not just the zone. It might even look like they added in a far pull, but this is where they're trying to get that surge, get their early elimination, so that way for the rest of the game, it's all about finding their location in the center of the circle. It's where they no longer have to worry about the surge, but they still have to go through this. And the longer they take for this one is the harder it's going to be, because then they have to travel so far north.
The riskier it gets. You can see on the minimap at the bottom right that the zone did pull further away, so they're not safe currently. If they lengthen this engagement out too long, they could end up getting in Storm. They could end up losing a lot of heals here just to rotate into the first zone. So you kind of got to think, is it worth it? Do we try and do a quick engagement here and get these eliminations, or do we back off, keep rotating, keep farming up, and set ourselves up for the end game?
Tag from above. High ground playing the role, but when you go and you find that miss, that's going to make fighting in the Storm a little bit easier. I wouldn't say it's going to be exponentially less difficult by any means, but knowing that you can take some HP, not have to peek, and hoping that your opponent's low, but that separation is there. Baka and Delta not together, and that's going to cost them some HP, but Delta quick to react, immediately going on the offensive, putting some shots down to try to alleviate that pressure.
Trying to see if he can find an angle here, connect any shots with that striker pump, but Delta gonna be getting cracked here, down to 9 effective HP, has to build up, has to cover himself, as Baka as well is gonna be down to 16 HP. They need to make something happen here if they want to do a comeback on this engagement against On and Evol.
Yeah, this is something we talked about all last season, from qualifiers to semifinals and finals. All it takes is 1 second of being separated, just like that, as Evil forced to drop down low. 22 HP. He has just enough to get about 125 effective shielded HP. Big pots being tossed around, so that's going to make it even better. But the damage has definitely been done. You can see the team in the minimap. They're not backing down from this fight because they know they have that much of an advantage. And even if they want to, Takata, they can go ahead, they can move forward ahead of zone and set themselves up to continue putting the shots on this team.
Well, what the question is, I mean, look at the material count. Baka only has 7 builds. His duo Delta, I'm sure, is not too healthy on the materials either. So if they just keep staying here, trying to get these 2 eliminations, they might end up getting to zone with not enough materials, and they won't be able to farm since there'll already be duos there. So this is a very risky play, but you can tell they want these eliminations, and Delta is going to be getting exactly that as he knocks down 1, goes for the second, and that's both players eliminated. Delta and Baka come out on top in game 1.
Yeah, my biggest fear was that if that one continued to go on, not only everything that you said is added on, but then they're not going to have the resources, the heals, the shields to get themselves back up once they get in towards the center of the zone. But luckily for them, they finished it rather quick. On board Reet and Rex, who are just going for that surge damage. They already got 1 elimination underneath their belt. That comes with surge, and now they're setting themselves up in zone to collect even more. So that way they don't have to worry towards the mid game, the late game, when they're forced to make nothing but rotations.
Taking a look here at Rex, gonna pop some mini shields. Now closer to the logjam area on the map. A very important thing to do in these round 4s or these matches where there's only 50 duos is that you want to set yourself up for Storm Surge. That minimum damage threshold you need to reach depending on the zone. So you need to get as much damage done as possible. If you're able to position yourself on a high elevated location such as Batman Booger here on wheels, who can see a majority of the map, you're gonna have a lot more opportunity to get tags just like Batman Booga is doing, and that is crucial to these matches.
Yeah, and this is something that this duo has practiced time and time again. Whether this spot right here on the blimp where you see Wale and Vanillas, that's just their game plan because it's so contested over towards Command Cavern. They know they don't have to go in and risk it all, even if they do sometimes try to test their luck down there. But they just sit in the high ground, collect the damage that you're talking about. And because they're so far in the zone already, they have really nothing to worry about. But Arkham and Epic, they're trying to do a very, very similar thing. Everybody in the game, as this one is slowing down the action, game number 1, playing their lives very, very carefully. You're not going to see any big moves up until Storm Surge becomes activated. That's when you're going to see those teams that are below the threshold become a little bit more aggressive, trying to get the damage they need.
Zone you can see closed a little northwest from Shifty Shaft, so they are gonna have to make a rotation, but they don't want to do it until they have that damage done from the Storm Surge. They know other duos are gonna be further out in the zone rotating in, and they'll have that chance to get some tags done. We can see Snacky Favs though that have made a good rotation here over to the logjam, but be careful, there's already a duo position there, so you might not want to get too close.
Yeah, trying to save the car as much as possible. Vehicles going to be very, very important because of that update. Most of the vehicles but the IOs are out of the game, so a lot of duos made it so a part of their game strat during this qualifier. They're going to have to think of something new, and for Fabs and Snacky, that's just going to be an extra boost because it's going to allow them to go from zone to zone, movement to movement, rotation after rotation, while minimizing the amount of damage they're going to take. It's not going to be something that they're not worried about at all, because damage onto the car, you're going to see so many players begin to make them a target.
Taking a look here at Quinn and Defiable again, our first place team from the 3rd round of this first week of qualifiers, looking to just do the same thing as we've seen Epic Whale doing, as we've seen Snacky Favs doing, is just getting those tags. Now, there are more ways to get these tags from the Storm Surge. You could force an engagement off spawn if you contest it, or you could even just force an engagement while rotating. If you're very confident mechanically and feel like you have a huge advantage in that engagement, I mean, you can just take it, and that's a good way to get Storm Surge. But the safest, most consistent way is to do it from afar, like we're seeing these duos do it right now.
Yeah, and this is a prime example of Quinn and Indefiable. I wouldn't say necessarily switching up everything that they've done, but we talked about when it comes to these set lobbies, you cannot play exactly one for one the same as you would in an open lobby. And I think Quinn has perfected that. I think he knows when to get aggressive in these open, a little bit easier lobbies. And when it comes to these final lobbies, I think he just uses his brain power. He plays to win every single one of these games, whether if it's placement points, only going for eliminations when he has to, or he sees a clear opening to do so. But Wale and Vanillas, man, I've seen them shoot up leaderboards, qualify for Cash Cup finals, and progressively get better each and every competition they play in. I'm just excited to see how they're going to finish in this first qualifier.
I mean, that's what you'd love to see, right, Jacob? These teams consistently making it to the 4th round, to the semis, to the finals, and just improving every time, right? Learning from the mistakes, adapting to the changes, and just keep getting better, and that's exactly what we see from these top teams. But now taking a look here at Bacon alongside his duo, they seem to be on not so high of an elevated location, but it did seem like they got into engagement. So they're already 305 above the Storm Surge, goes down a bit, but they're still feeling safe here. When they have that security, they can just focus on the rotate, get to mid zone, even play corner zone if that's what they want. It's just all up to them, and they can make whatever decision they want.
Yeah, and I like this trust right here. Bacon and Zook separating just a little bit. He's just trying to get him a good spot in towards zone, even though his teammate is taking some damage. He knows it's not a focus of the lobby, so he doesn't have to go back just yet to go for him as Danny Fishy. Bonzer trying to go ahead and spot the information, go for the shots. 248 below the threshold. They have to start being proactive, but the biggest thing here is that shield keg in their inventory. They could throw that one down and peek as long as possible, but the biggest thing is they have to start peeking for these shots.
I mean, that's what I love about the shield keg. It's a great way to trade damage for Storm Surge, you know, to peek out. And even if you risk losing some shield, you're just going to recuperate that right back up with the shield keg. But taking a look down at Jakey Rayleigh here, wants to get into an engagement. Seems like he is 135 below the Storm Surge, so has to make something happen here. Trying to find a wall replace, trying to find an angle, some sort of damage onto this opposing duo.
Yeah. I like this decision to get aggressive instead of just simply trying to out-heal it, because once the floppers and the splashes are gone, you're going to have to get aggressive anyway. So outside of zone, still having to think of something. Not throwing all their game into this one play, though. Trying to spread it out, but you see Storm Surge beginning to activate. They're trying to spread out those resources, but like I said, there's a very finite amount. In fact, they're already running out of splashes.
Oof. You can see it's getting ticked second by second here. The players are losing shield, maybe even losing HP if they can't recuperate it. But also Jakey there is going to end up going down. They were playing aggressive, but was it worth it? Now his duo left alone, and Two-Tone is going to go down as well. They got the damage they needed, but in the meantime, they got eliminated, and they will be coming back for game 2.
Yep, for Sari and Photo, that's a blessing in disguise. That's 348 above the damage threshold, something they're not going to have to worry about in the immediate future. Maybe something later on. You see 71 players still alive. Even Nate picking up a big double in the elimination feed, going to work, trying to get those elimination points, because remember, it's 3 points per elimination. If you're able to score 10 eliminations and a win, that's a 60-point game. That's definitely going to allow you that cushion for the remainder of day 1.
But to get those eliminations, you have to get past that Storm Surge threshold, right? And we're seeing Danny Fishy here and Bonzer. They're not having a good time. They've already used the shield keg. They've already used their big shields. All they're left with are minis now, and they're still 145 below Storm Surge. Third zone is closing. They have to make something happen here. Getting nice little bit of tags on the opponents who are rotating in, but it's not enough. An opponent actually got straight into the box and takes them both out, Jacob.
Bro, he was so sneaky. I didn't even come. He must have been barefoot. That's what it is. He took off his shoes, entered the box barefoot to minimize the sounds, because Fratby and Monkey, these guys, there's no other way possible that they could have seen it coming, but maybe their audio was just a little bit too loud going for those shots, because you know, when you're focused on going for that Storm Surge damage, sometimes that's a tunnel vision. You get lost in the sauce on the way.
Oh, and then look at this. I mean, are you seeing what Fabs and Snacky have done here, Jacob? They've got a tunnel. Seems to be the length of all of Logjam here, and they still have spare materials. You see that Snacky has 2 eliminations, meaning that they took kind of the more aggressive approach to get that Storm Surge. We know they're 2 of the most mechanical players on the West region, so they're feeling confident. But do you see the feed there, Jacob?
I didn't see the feed. I was looking at the max mats that he has just laying around on the ground there for a moment. That makes me believe those 2 eliminations were en route. We saw him very, very early on make his way towards Logjam, Lumberjam. He didn't have this many mats when we saw him, so those 2 eliminations were more recent, if anything, which is going to allow them this very long tunnel that you spoke about. And we've seen tunnels like this play a big role once we get towards those moving zones, as long as it stays towards that side of the map. But nope, it's going to get a pull, forcing everybody just a little bit more northwest.
Slam gonna be getting eliminated in the feed. And speaking about the feed, Arkham and Epic have went down here in the 4th zone. So one of the favorites here from the desk going down early. But remember, there's just game 1. There's 6 total games. So even if you don't have a great first game, you can always make that comeback, even if it's in the last match. But we're gonna take a look at Sweat here, as 3 eliminations. I mean, they're looking good. But let's check that replay out, Jacob.
Just checking out indeed how Arkham and Epic did go down. They abandoned the car early, and you can see the shots just continuously raining down on the Arkham, unable to really shield himself out. You see Epic trying to go ahead and build and allow themselves that extra cover, but sometimes, Takata, when the whole lobby begins to make you a focus, there's very little you can do to get out of it.
It's all about positioning beforehand, right? Staying one step ahead of the game and avoiding those, occasions where the whole lobby will be looking at you and focusing you down, like what's happening to these players that Rex and Reet are taking some shots at. We can see Blast and his partner actually going to be taking down Landjock Punisher, a veteran duo of the West region that's been here for a very long time. So I always love seeing them back here in today's FNCS. But taking a look at Batman Booga as well. Wheels, you talked about Wheels, incredible IGM, Batman Booga, incredible Fragger. You've got the dynamic duo here, and I feel like they might even be able to take it home today, Jacob.
You can already see, though, as well, the adaptations as the game has already progressed. It was Batman Booga early on with the Striker Burst AR going for those surge shots. But as the circle closes, forcing everybody closer together, you see that CQC, the close quarters combat loadout between the Combat SMG and the Striker Pump Shotgun. And we know how deadly Batman Booga can be in a box at the wrong time. So I'm interested to see as it goes on. But Quinn, Defiable, they were the ones who got first place in our round number 3, and you could see only 1 point so far. Not faring well when it comes to eliminations, and definitely not faring well when it comes to the damage.
They're trying to get this damage done. They're forced to play it a little more aggressive of the 100 below the Storm Surge here. But actually, Defiable is going to get some nice little tags onto his opponent, but it's not enough. They're still 22 below, 5 below. They just need one more shot, and they'll be above the Storm Surge. But right as I say that, they get tagged. They're even more below. They're getting focused by the lobby. This is not a position you want to be in this first match.
Yeah, it's just going to get exponentially worse once the Storm Surge actually activates, and it does. I think my curse is just reigning supremes far beyond the predictions. Defiable and Quinn now have to get aggressive, be proactive. Now they fall above the damage threshold, and they get the elimination with the Siphon. That was a perfect blessing that they absolutely needed to keep themselves going, bumping themselves up to 5 points in this game.
That is a huge refresh for Quinn and Defiable here. They're now going to be a little more healthy on that Storm Surge damage, but this is just the beginning. They're going to have to keep it going as Kika here and Kika are going to be looking for some tags. They are 112 below. It seems like so many players in this lobby have not done enough damage. You can see Defiable in the feed also picked up another elimination. So Quinn and his duo are feeling pretty happy. I see Fratby close by. The rotations have to come in. This is the 5th zone. This is where the action begins.
Yeah, everybody's going to get jam-packed together. Touch a close circle. Fabs and Snacky still putting out those shots. 3 eliminations now. Fabs picking up 1 along the way, making their journey that much easier because, they have the damage. They don't have to peek unless they absolutely want to, because they don't have to, as they go in box for box, zone for zone, trying to close out the options of every player that's next to them.
3 total eliminations here for Snacky and Fabs, but they're just getting started. They are one of the duos that got a 20 elim game in the qualifiers here for the 4th round, and they're looking to do it here as well. You can see the confidence, looking for some drop downs, looking for tags, looking for anything that can get them that nice 3-point elimination. It's very good if you're able to pick up a good amount of eliminations before the end game, because just with that 3 points per elim, you can boost yourself so high up on the leaderboards.
Takes one moment. That's why I always trying to preach to the young West players that, get aggressive at every single moment. You could have the mechanics and the confidence to take every single fight under the sun, but you need to have the brain to back it up, knowing which ones a fight you should take, which ones you shouldn't, which ones you should run from, so on and so forth. And that's what Reet and Rex are looking to do here. Figure out which fights they can take on their way towards the center of the circle, which jump pads they can recycle, what their preferred route is going to be, because you want to see all that information before the zone begins to pull.
Taking a look though, Rex here as he's getting into a little bit of a sticky situation as he's getting tagged down to 22 shield. Does have a good amount of Storm Surge, but has to make the rotate. Is able to recycle a launch pad here now, but he's gonna have to group up with Reet. They're gonna have to play together, and Rex has to heal up.
Yep, looking like a sitting duck with the amount of HP and shields he has, but a perfect pad. Rex gets right in, using the floppers, immediately using the minis to try to get himself back up to tip-top shape or as close to it as possible. And look at them going from defensive straight to the offensive, trying to shoot through a box. Defiable and Quinn still on 6 points, but they are playing towards the end game. They know any eliminations from this point forward are naturally going to come as long as they continue to play how they practice.
44 players alive, 24 duos. We need 14 players to get eliminated for the Storm Surge to get deactivated, and Defiable is 300 below. Now that Quinn has gone down, he's gonna have to make a play happen here, popping a big pot, trying to get the rotate into Storm, trying to find an angle onto an opponent, and this could be it. Gets into the box, 100 damage tag, gonna knock down one. If he can get this finished, that's gonna be huge.
Oh, the refresh. Defiable is going to be able to get it, but immediately is going to get shut down. You see Nate towards the backside trying to jump pad towards the zone and give himself a little bit of a better time, but LeBron gets to the box at the perfect moment. Shots down one player, looking for the next, but that's Batman Booga. Booga is down. Now Wheels has to do this one as a solo.
LeBron and Nate, they're feeling confident now. They got the refresh, they got the elims, but take a look at that high ground. We have Favs and Snacky. They're feeling good. They're feeling confident now with this high ground, trying to get some tags from above, laying down the rain, seeing if they can pick up some of these extra eliminations. You can see Snacky takes down Wheels, who was playing as a solo. We can see all these duos down below. Rex actually going to be taken down now, leaving Reet as a solo.
Yeah, Favs and Snacky, the previous FNCS duo champions, playing it to perfection, biding their time, waiting for this 7th zone, and that's where they're going to take it. But Reet doing it by himself, losing Rex early, still 3 eliminations, trying to make his way towards the end game, and he's going to be one of the most dangerous solo players that we have in the game right now. But no heals, not a lot of resources, and a player trying to get into his box. All he needs is one moment with that drum and the combat, and he can end one player's run. But Favs, Snacky still holding on to the high ground, putting the pressure on so many players, including Reet, who just gets taken down.
Very close there from Reet. Managed to pick up a bit of those placement points before getting knocked down, but taking a look at Nate now, another player who's playing it out as a solo here. 6 total eliminations for his duo, 36 points, trying to get that number up. Favs and Snacky still on the high ground. We have Pars and Rays on second height here, getting a little bit of close to the high ground duo, but Lime, Chip, they're picking up some elims, and it is looking great for them.
Yep, this is another duo I've seen perform so well during last season, but Lime's run might come to an end with 25 HP. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's finding a way to get towards the center of the zone, and his teammates so close behind him, hot on his heels. But Favs and Snacky, they're ready to drop down, get aggressive, and get their hands dirty, and pick up those eliminations. You talked about a 20 bomb with a win, where they're looking to try to get as close to that as possible.
5 eliminations for Favs and Snacky, gets bumped up to 6, and they're just racking elim after elim. Chip getting knocked down here. Favs is still hungry, though. He wants more of these eliminations, trying to find an angle here onto Pars, but Pars has 6 elims just by himself. He is clutching out so much here as a solo.
Yeah, this is almost number 1 and number 2 of last season as Pars is trying to drop down low, separate the 2 players, but no matter what, only a sliver of HP, boxed in, forced out towards the zone, and that's going to be Favs and Snacky continuing their domination from last season, taking game number 1.
That confidence is just gonna keep getting built up here as they take home that first match. I mean, I can't wait to see what's gonna be coming here, Jacob, from Favs and Snacky. When they get into their game, when they're feeling confident as some of the most mechanical players on the West region, I mean, this could be a domination.
Yeah, when you know how to play, you know how to play, and you saw almost every facet of their game being tested throughout that last one. A contested drop over towards Tilted, quick rotations up towards Logjam, Lumberjam, and then finding a crucial elimination, because that set themselves up not only for max mats on Favs and Snacky, but for max mats on the ground as well, which made their trajectory into the center of the zone that much easier.
But not only Favs, Snacky, I mean, we saw Pars and Rays there racked up a good amount of eliminations and a 2nd place. So there's a lot of these duos that, you know, they're getting a good first game. They're feeling confident, but even if you didn't have the best first match, I know Arc and Epic got knocked out early, you still have 5 more games. I mean, you can make a comeback. You have so much opportunity here to get back up on that leaderboard.
Yep, and wondering what that leaderboard is looking like, we have a good-looking Des, Panda, Clay, Kelly. Please break down the action and let us know who's in first place after game number 1.
Thank you so much, Jacob and Takata. And I don't think it's going to be too much of a surprise of Favs and Snacky being on top right there with 9 eliminations. Great VR. But I do have to talk about what Jacob was saying, Panda. Pars having an incredible run.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Pars and Rays, I believe, is one of those teams that that almost didn't qualify, if I'm not mistaken, out of round 3. So to see them being so successful here in game number 1 is going to be huge. But what else is huge? Snacky, Fabs, high ground domination from start to finish here in this end game. And it's just, honestly, it's a masterclass on how to handle these games here in NA West, Clay.
And look, they had no struggle with Surge at all once they were on high ground. We've seen teams that do struggle with it, but it didn't matter for them. They were finding elims. You see Snacky just going down, getting elims as players are trying to come up. They had a really great zone favor them, as everyone had to kind of funnel into them, so they were able to find eliminations like this, when normally your high ground team's got to stay all the way up there. Snacky even throwing in that W emote as well. And just at the end of it, look at the edit course that Fabs does right here. It's just so amazing. And you know, I'm excited for them, right? You want that defending champ to go through and make it to the next season. That way they have that chance to say, hey, it wasn't a fluke.
Oh, no, without a doubt, definitely not a fluke, especially now being the 2-time FNCS champions, the reigning champs, of course. And you know, it's funny, when we were starting at the top of the show, we were talking about our predictions, and every single caster and analyst said, well, Snacky and Fabs is my second pick, but... So to see them doing so well, we're all kind of eating our words right now, but we have to talk about another team, and of course, Reet running as a solo for quite a while, though Reet and Rex had a decent middle game and obviously dropped off a little towards the end game there.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is what we were expecting from them, right? Reet, Rex, just honestly, we knew that they were going to go for some eliminations, but also in round 4s, they do typically play a little bit more passive than they do in the other rounds. So that's why we see them play a little bit differently. However, Rex going down here, definitely not part of the plan, but you know what? It's game number 1, and Reet still showed that as a solo player, he can make some things happen, Clay.
I mean, that's something we've known for a while, right? Reet is a solo clutch performer, but unfortunately, you see right there, 2 players with almost full HP is really, really hard when you're trying to clutch it up. So great performance, though, from him.
Yeah, let's see how that performance did in our top 10 leaderboard right now. Again, I think we know who is going to be in first place. And yes, indeed, it is Fabs and Snacky with 59 points. So actually not the lead that I thought they were going to have, although still 7 points away from second place, which is Pars and Raze. A great performance right there from Pars and Raze. And you were right, actually. They placed 49th out of round 3. So barely being able to make it into round 4. And to do this well, Clay, that's a great start.
It really isn't. Only a 7-point difference from first to second. That just shows that how on point they were. They had 8 elims, so 1 behind first place. Great to see, but looking down again, top 5 is where we're looking. Lime and Chip up there, LeBron and Nate, Notch and Salty as well. Everyone's looking really good.
Yeah, they definitely are. Notch being one of those names that we always see here in a top 10 situation on the leaderboard here on NA West. So it's nice to see him here come in and have a great game number 1. But we got to talk about the people that are shortly behind the top 10. And there it is, to my boys, Rex and Reet there, just outside of the top 10 in 12th place. But that's a good game. You know what? I'll give it to them. Warm-up game for them and Arkham and Epic Whale, right? It's what they need, right? Let's get them warmed up and good to go. But for some of these teams, they're feeling confident. Slick Nick, Convict, another team that we definitely expect to do pretty well here on the day. Will they get a top 5? We'll see here shortly. But Kelly, this is just incredible.
I mean, this is just game number 1, everyone. We have 5 more games to go. And remember, when we look at the leaderboard, the number that you want to look towards, chat, is the 5th place spot, because the top 5 teams are going to automatically make their way into the finals. So that's where they want to be right now. But real quick, another team that we got to watch, of course, we have to look. There we have it. Fabs and Snacky up on top right now. So that 5th place spot, 35 points. It's still game number 1, so the separation between 5th and 6th is going to be very small. But we've seen it come down to a single elimination in the past that will make their way into the finals right now. So Vanillas and Wale, an incredible team, grabbing 4 eliminations as well as a few placement points. Going to be hopefully having a same situation in this next game, but just a little better. Everyone, we only have a few seconds left before we toss it into game number 2. Panda, anything that you want to see?
Listen, I just want to see Arkham Epic Whale make it to the end game, right? That's where they shine most, and seeing them go down early was definitely unexpected. But also for some of these other players that are showcasing some talents here, making their way to the top 5, keep it up, stay consistent, because that's what's going to be key for these players that aren't normally at the top of the leaderboard.
And Clay, I know what you want to see. You want to see a Harpoon play, and it might be possible, everyone. But guys, for right now, that is it for us. We're going to be tossing it back to Jacob and Takata for game number 2.
Thank you so much, Kelly, Panda Clay. Great breakdown from the desk, but I mean, Jacob, from the edit course Favs did on that last opponent to Raze and Pars doing a great job racking up those eliminations in the second place. I mean, we've just seen one match and we still have 5 to go.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm loving it from top to bottom. Everything is fulfilling that excitement I knew was going to come through. And honestly, I'm seeing the chat even take part. You see it kind of Quinn for win. You're seeing fans of Arkham and Epic. So many different fans in the chat. And I just love how they're showing up and really giving their energy to their favorite players, their favorite duos and teams. I want to see that continue throughout all 6 games. And that's going to be a sign for their favorite competitors. If they look at this chat in between games and they see their team getting voted for, that's going to be a huge boost of confidence going into this next game number 2 in which the battle bus is ready.
One game down, 5 to go. The engine's already hot from that first match, but we're just getting started. Drop the names of your favorite duos in the chat. I want to see who you're rooting for. I mean, personally, we've seen some crazy action from Favs and Snacky, but there's still some top-tier veterans in this match that still have a lot of time to show what they're capable of.
Yep, you heard the analyst desk from 49th place in round number 3, barely getting in. That door was just creaked open and they slammed it wide open to 2nd place. 8 eliminations as well, so you can see they're already heated up. And I'm talking about Pars and Raze, who were that close, just inches away from being the FNCS champions of last season.
And they're going to be feeling good. We can actually see them going straight into this match here. They're dropping in a spot which is very contested. You can see how many players are flying around them, how many duos they have to go up against here. But Pars seems to know what he's doing. You can tell that he's studied. He's prepared his path, knows what to loot, knows what he has to do. But take a look here. He might even start up with an elimination if he takes down Nate. But his duo partner is watching closely, taking some shots onto Pars. Pars have to make a decision here, decides to stay. Gonna maybe refarm, but oof, that's a great way to start, Jacob.
Yeah, probably didn't want to get shot out of the sky, but you can see in the minimap somebody's hot on his heels trying to finish off that elimination. You can see the cannon already being used as well. Raze is there to try to save the day with the IO card, immediately trying to splash and get them both to tip-top shape. That play right there is how you start off a game number 2 after finishing 2nd in game 1.
But we're getting right into some more action here as we have Monkey and Clone taking an engagement and seems to be kind of more of a split drop on the corner of the map here as Clone takes down one. Now looks like they might have actually secured, I mean, they've secured one elimination here, but I'm not sure where his duo partner is. It could be that player that is making an escape route right now on the side of this island in a boat. So I mean, I don't know what his game plan is now. Maybe play a bit of safe, go back for the reboot card later and hopefully get a reboot, but that's a difficult way to start your match.
Yeah, that's a big hope and a big prayer there. But depending on where the zone is, that could be a little bit of a help. But judging off this mini map, it is going to pull south, so may not have to move. But Flux, Biz trying to do what they can. Jake's going to go down, but a trade teammate for teammate. But Flux, full HP, not a worry. He's saying it's fine, nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about here. I was getting a little scared there when the shots were coming in, but Flux, he was feeling calm, feeling confident, managed to secure both of those eliminations and even pick up his partner. So now we're going to switch over here to Zor and his duo, who seem to be in not an engagement, but they do have opponents close by. Maybe they just want to get some tags for Storm Surge, or maybe they want to secure those eliminations. It really depends on what their game plan is.
Russo, you know me and him. You know me and him. We go way back to those zone wars where I always just end up getting taken down. No matter if he's the high ground, the low ground, he never lets me escape as Nitrix and C's are over towards Rocky Rails. It is going to be a contested drop, but just judging off of what I see in the minimap so far, it's going to be a slow drop. They're not going to want to get aggressive, and I like that because these teams and players, they know, like I said, you can have all the confidence to fight any fight, but you need to know that you cannot throw it away in the early portions of the game, because if you don't get those elims, you're not going to get placement points either. You get absolutely nothing for your efforts.
Right, I mean, if you get eliminated early, that's not a way you want to start off your day here for a round 4 of the Fortnite FNCS on the NA West region. But I mean, you can always jump back, right? Make that comeback, and that's what I'm looking to see Epic Whale and Arkham do today. You can see they're still feeling good. They've got the route down, farming up, getting those shields, getting those materials, and now it's all about just adapting to what happened in their last match. You know, how can we overcome that and not let it happen again?
Be a big one for them, and I don't think we're gonna see that right now. That's the thing. They got an uncontested drop. They know they have that championship caliber mindset. It's just about getting the materials, getting the resources, the weaponry, every single piece of loot out of that drop before you make your way forward. And then from there, they're gonna be looking for position and surge, as Fabs and Snacky doing something very, very similar. But I'm about to say right now, just already doing something out of the blue. What are we doing, Fabs? Oh my God. I mean, that right there, that's skill.
You love to see it, right? Fabs and Snacky didn't have enough with just the victory royale. They wanted to play some games with the vehicles, right? Make them bounce, kind of mimic a trampoline there. But you know, they're feeling happy, they're laughing, they're enjoying themselves, and they're just getting started.
I bet you he had the same reaction I did. Like, what is going what is going on? I didn't know that was an interaction. Maybe he's just trying something new. Because you know how flashy he can get after putting a player in the blender last game with that edit course. This game, maybe he's just trying to throw a car at somebody, end them that way. But Reet and Rex, uncontested. This time around, though, Takata, the biggest difference is they didn't get that elimination off of the drop. So they are going to be having to look for Surge.
That is absolutely correct, Jacob. They might have to change up their plan, but I mean, you know, Reet and Rex, they have so much experience in Fortnite competitive. I'm sure they are more than able to adapt depending on the drop, the duos which are close by, the rotates that they have to do. I mean, they're ready for anything that gets put in their path. But looking at Clone here, this is the duo that got into that early game engagement, but you can see instead of 1 elims, Clone now has 2, so it looks like he picked up that solo that kind of escaped in the early game. And now with 6 points from elims and the storm surge they need for these first zones, they can just focus on their rotate.
Yeah, and that's where the games switch up, no matter if it's game 1, game 6, anything in between. Where you're at in your current surge loop path, that matters so much about where you have to position yourself in zone. And that was one of the biggest questions that we were kind of talking last season. You've seen a bunch of content pieces at it, and there's no more asking that question because you had the full season, you had years to figure it out. So this one, it's going to be all or nothing when you're positioning yourself as Wheels and Batman Booga. Once again, the very, very similar game plan. Loot up, get as many mats and resources as possible. You see them with 2 eliminations each, so the Storm Surge very, very early on, so that way the rest of the game, they can do exactly what they want when they want.
Taking a look here, though, just like Jacob was saying, is one of the most powerful IGLs, also known as in-game leaders in the West region. Wheels alongside Batman Booga. I mean, I'm excited to see what they're going to be doing today, landing in a very congested, very contested drop spot, but they have a game plan. They know how to play it. You can even see them farming up full metal here before leaving. You have the option for the rotates. You have the option for the storm surge tags. I mean, you know they've studied, and they're going to make anything happen here if they want to get to that late game. But Epic Whale and Arkham, they are looking for some tags here. 0 eliminations. They have the materials. They have the loot. They have the mobility, but I don't think they have those tags, Jacob.
Yep. Once again, though, you can kind of see it. Everything that is going down. Not too many early game skirmishes. 92 total players still left alive, so we're going to have a massive hunt when it comes to that storm surge. So positioning yourself now is so important and impactful for the rest of your game, because you put yourself in a bad spot, using those resources early. And talk about a bad spot. Rex over peeking, taking a couple burst shots to the face. He's going to have to rethink that one and figure out, does he want to peek again? But at least that gives him another position, information of where more players are located.
I mean, the good thing about Rex and Reet here is they do have Greasy uncontested, so they have a lot of loot, right? You can see the chug splashes, the mini shields. They can recuperate this damage, which is being put back to them. But, I mean, it's how much, right? How much damage do you want to take for it to be worth it versus how many of those tags you can get without losing some HP like they're looking for here with a team that's trying to rotate in a vehicle here, but they're wasting a lot of materials because Rex and Reet, they want that damage.
Yeah, luckily for them, though, it is going to be wood. Something they can farm up pretty easily, but over on that side, I'm just trying to think how much wood is actually over there. Tons of brick, tons of metal, but when it comes to the actual wood, it might be a little thin, but I might be overstaying my welcome when it comes to that part of the game, as Reet and Rex sitting comfortably. I got to imagine Arkham and Epic are doing the same thing over on the other side of the map in Coney, as you see a lot of teams in your mini-map just boxed up, looking for those shots to make the rest of their game easier. As you see, they're already sitting pretty in towards the zone, and judging by, you know, last time we saw Camp Cuddle, this one did pull on this side of the map.
We can see that the second zone pulled, but it seems that Rex and Reed, they're still in it. But just like you said, the edge is at that northwest side. So for third zone, they might have to make a move. But the good thing is now they're in zone. They can kind of wait it out and let the other duos, which have to rotate into the zone, get in and then get those tags onto them. But Pars Rays, second place right now. You can even see it at the bottom left. They are feeling happy. 55 points, 2 shield kegs if they need to use one. But they already have an elimination, so I'm sure they're feeling good on damage. They're feeling good at loot, max materials. They just have to get into zone and get positioned in a place where they can still use their vehicle. Hopefully it doesn't get exploded or get shot at. You know, that's kind of the most dangerous thing that could happen to them here.
I like it. Just finding extra loot and weapons around. I wouldn't say it's a risky play by any means, but you definitely know as well as I do, timing is of the essence in certain situations. Getting to your spot, making sure it's not taken just yet. It's going to be so important. You see them marking exactly where they want to go. Landjock and Punisher not too far off, and taking those shots is going to make Pars and Rays take another route. Try to find another entry towards the zone or another spot to kind of box up at as you see them getting shot, becoming a focus of the lobby in that IO car, and that's where they're going to stop dead in their tracks, box it up, and be safe for now.
Switching up to Quinn and Defiable, though. Looks like they were in a box fight here, but they're not getting too risky, right? They're taking shots, looking for edits, but they're not going all in into their opponent's boxes. They just want to do the damage. They don't need the eliminations. They need the damage. So they're boxed up close to Slick here and CZR, a Spanish-speaking duo. Slick playing for PSG TNA. So, I mean, they're feeling pretty good here, but you don't want to get into an engagement here and get eliminated, right? We're in second zone, still 44 duos alive, 88 players. So as long as you get damage and keep rotating, you should be good. But if you get into a very risky situation and end up getting eliminated, that is just not what you want to happen.
Quinn, Defiable. I would think they have a consistent game plan when it comes to playing. They don't go for those early game skirmishes. Quinn knows, and he has it kind of down packed, that they're going to naturally present themselves as the game progresses. But 58 above the damage threshold. Arkham and Epic from the top Coney Crossroads, they haven't had too many people cross their paths, and now they're forced to move in. They're going to get themselves a spot, and that's when they are going to be on the hunt for that damage. As long as they don't position themselves, I want to say on the side of this mountain, because there's possibly a couple teams, or at least one right above them.
Yeah, you got to be careful, but what they're trying to do here is just make sure that their vehicle doesn't get shot at, doesn't get destroyed, because that's what they're going to use to rotate. But the scary thing about this mountain is, I mean, you've got vision, but not as much vision of the map if you were in a higher elevated area, right? Like on top of that hill, or maybe even another hill a little bit more south. So they're going to look for tags and, I mean, hopefully get some, because they're only 21 above, but this might be a little risky.
Yeah, that's the only reason why. Obviously, you can position yourself there. Like you said, you see a lot. When it comes to getting the actual shots for the people that you're seeing, that's where they're going to find that difficulty. And already a half of the map is not going to be seen because of the mountain that is right on Arkham's right. But another team facing that damage threshold, the worry sitting 12 below, is going to be Coatsy and Notorious. As you see him getting shot with a shield keg, and wondering where his teammate is at right now. I was going to say he needs to take use of that shield keg because it's their only one.
The only one, and they're making good use of it, though. A lot of shield needs to be recuperated here, but my concern is the 85 below. The good thing is they have the shield popping, so if they want to take some trades now, take some peeks, look for some damage, I mean, it's the time to do so while that shield keg is supplying them, refreshing that shield, and that's exactly what Notorious is looking for here. Some damage, some tags, but he's just not able to find it.
Yeah, he needs to be a little bit more proactive, a little bit more aggressive when it comes to looking for those shots while the keg is actually active, but it is going to be dying down. So that means that they're going to be a little bit more risky when it goes for going for those shots, but you got to risk it for the biscuit. 2 more, maybe 3 shots going to be landed. 75 plus damage already. That's going to bring up above the damage threshold, but they know the players in zone taking that HP damage. The shots are also lining up with other players in the lobby. Even if they don't get the actual elimination, it's getting them one step closer to first. That matters.
But Vanilla's and his duo here, they're 81 below. The other duo we saw managed to get that damage, but now 117 below, goes down to 81 below. They've got to make something happen using those chug splashes, recuperating the shield, but they're getting shots taken on their box. They're getting shots taken at them. They have to be very careful here, but also do damage quickly.
Yeah, and something we learned so many seasons ago when Storm Surge was actually first introduced. When it starts to activate and damage players, you can see the lobby begin to focus. They want to make sure that they cannot get aggressive. Forced to play on the defensive. Wale is going to go down, unable to continue living as Creep's going to clean that one up. Vanilla's now hopes and prayers is all he's left with as he's getting dropped down. One player needs to go down. You see the elimination feed, multiple players dropping left and right, but it's still not going to be enough.
Oh, I also saw there at the right side of the screen, Snacky actually got knocked down. Favs was able to pick him up and he recuperated his shield, but I'm wondering what happened there. I think they're kind of fighting the surge right now. They're above, but not by too much. So if they don't have any heals now, Snacky might be stuck at low HP for some time, but if they're able to get a siphon, get a refresh. I mean, we saw from last game how confident they are mechanically in box fights and even just getting refreshes in that late game that I'm sure they'll be able to get a bit of health back. But for now, we see teams going down. Slick gonna get knocked, Buzo gonna get elimination, and now all these duos, they're gonna have to be rotating into this third zone, but there's still just so much more to come.
Yeah, and you can see the game plan. Favs and Snacky, much similar like last game. They didn't have very many eliminations early on. A lot of their eliminations came throughout the course of the mid, course of the late game, towards those moving zones, to where I always say it's just naturally going to come to you as long as you play your game. And you can see him already what he's thinking, getting that car ready for this next rotation, but it's going to sacrifice some damage from the storm. So I'm hoping Raze has something up his sleeve, but immediately the car is going to become a target. Pars and Raze have to abandon that play and think of a plan B.
They abandoned the car, but they made it into the zone just barely, as you can see. They're on the edge there. Gonna recuperate the shield they lost, but my concern is the next zone, Jacob. If that fourth zone pulls far and they have to make a rotate, they no longer have the vehicle. They have duos looking at them now, and that is just gonna be a difficult one to rotate. But Nate and LeBron here, they're feeling pretty happy, feeling pretty confident, actually trying to kind of find an angle onto Pars and Raze, but so far it's kind of waiting game until the next zone appears.
Yeah, right now they're at the edge, and they have the IO car for rotation as well. They know they just can't get greedy here. That's going to be the biggest thing. And with zone not too far off, this is where I ask you, what would be the play here? You have a car, you're Nate and LeBron, you're set up. What would Takata do?
The problem here is if you have a car, it's a little risky, right? If you end up getting focused and go too early and then your car gets exploded, you're going to get focused, right? So if you're going with a car rotate, you have to go a little later, depending on how the situation is, right? Here, you could go in the corner zone, maybe try and get on the left side here. It really just depends on what your shields are, how much mats you have. If there's a duo in front of you, you can follow, maybe recycle some materials. In Raze and Par's case, we saw that Nate and his duo partner were close. So if they end up rotating early, they could go behind them, reuse their materials, and not have to waste as much on this rotation. So it just really depends on what the players and their surroundings do.
How beneficial was Vanilla's right there? Just a chest left wide open, and it's a med kit that's going to get him back on up. But Arkham and Epic, they were able to survive the low numbers when it came to watching them early on in the Storm Surge damage, and that's exactly why I picked them. When it comes to consistency, these guys got what it takes, and if anybody believes they're going to have a very similar day number one like they did in last season's Grand Finals, you guys are crazy. These guys are built like Ford Tough.
Oh, even with that position that we were talking about, Arkham and Epic, they're looking healthy, Jacob. I mean, they were under that mountain, but they're full right now on effective HP. But, oof, I don't want to speak too soon. They are 145 below the Storm Surge, but quickly refreshing up to 90. They were able to get some quick tags here, but it's not going to be enough. They have to keep looking for damage, keep looking for tags, but luckily enough, we have some duos trying to rotate into Storm here, so this could be very good for not only Epic and Arkham, but also Favs and Snacky, who are only 68 above.
Everybody's gonna have to be forced in. You see another shot's gonna be landed. That's gonna boost it on the Storm Surge, but nothing to call home about as Vanilla is sitting 297 below. Quickly trying to get in a box and capture some players off guard. That's Wheels trying to get out. He's going to land one shot, but it's not going to be enough to alleviate the pressure of Storm Surge, so Vanilla has to reload and go again. Find another target here, but he has to be smart about it, not putting himself in the open and take shots from everybody else. He's going box to box, cover to cover, trying to chase down Wheels, and he's hot on his heels, trying to make the elimination happen, but Wheels is doing a good job of just staying alive.
That's what he has to do. He has to overcome the aggression from this opposing duo, but Vanilla's hitting an incredible sniper shot, 180 damage right onto his opponent, and that is incredibly helpful for a Storm Surge. Now, they don't have to get as much damage, but Raze and Pars, they're pretty close to the threshold as well. They're gonna have to look for something, but Vanilla's getting straight into a box here, going right into that engagement. Unfortunately, though, is gonna go down here. We have Wheels, though, close to LeBron and Nate, and I'm not sure if they know that he's a solo.
No, I don't think they do, because I feel like if they did know he was a solo, they would go right after him, try to get in the box, make quick work before everybody on the northern portion of the maps begins to move south. You see about maybe 4 duo teams currently in the circle. 23 still have some traveling to do before they can say they are 2 in the circle. LeBron and Nate's going to be one of them. B-Dog's going to have to do it as a solo while sitting 14 below the damage threshold. So not only does he have to find his way to the circle, he has to find some damage along the way.
D-Dog has a difficult rotate here, seeing that he also has to do damage, just like you were mentioning, but a duo that's feeling pretty good right now is Nate and LeBron. They are pretty close to the circle here, have the damage, but let's focus on B-Dog here, see what he's able to do. I mean, he's popping the med mist, he's getting everything done, but LeBron, Nate actually getting cracked here now with half HP. LeBron is feeling healthy, but he's gonna have to be the one that tarps here if they want to make it into this zone. The problem is there's so many duos close by. You have to pick the right path here. If you end up getting into a box of an opponent, that could just be it, as LeBron gets dropped down almost into a box, but manages to escape now with 61 effective HP. But be careful, there's more duos, there's more players raining down shots onto both of these players. They have to make something happen soon.
Yeah, and I like that quick move right there. They got in different boxes, and immediately LeBron reunites with Nate because they know all it takes is a second of separation to cost you your entire game up until this point. But sitting at 46 point, 4th place, right on that bubble, and here currently in game number 2, which is going to be important to hold on to your position. And Pars is going to have to hold on to 2nd place by himself. But that's something Pars and Raze are good at doing. We've seen it last season. We've seen a taste of it this season already, and we're seeing it again here in this game.
Zone actually going to be closing. The 6th zone, the first moving zone, is going to be closing on Nate and LeBron's side here. So you can see all the opposing duos, Snacky, Favs, and the players around them are going to have to make a further rotate. So it's going to be a bit difficult, but you can see the launch pads coming through, the rotation, the mobility happening. And meanwhile, the duos, which are already on the side of the moving zone, they're going to be taking shots. They're going to be looking to see if they can knock down or maybe even get an elimination on these players that are rotating. But Landjock and Punisher, they have the high ground.
Yep, high ground here in 6th zone, and this is where we've seen so many players take it a little too early, not kind of hold on to as many resources as possible in single layer build, and it cost them it all. 157 below the threshold. Arkham and Epic still have to look for shots and put the pressure on a couple players. It even looks like they might be trying to chop down that high ground and make it theirs later on in the game, but for now, it's all about the damage, making sure that they can alleviate the pressure of what's in front of them, and that's that Storm Surge, and they did just enough. They're living on a prayer, but no, they're teeter-tottering back and forth like a game of ping pong when it comes to the threshold.
Just a small taste of that damage is all they need. Landjock gonna go down to Snacky, but Landjock also gonna knock down a player here as Favs has been knocked down. Snacky left as a solo, but we have Epic Whale and Arkham battling against Rex and Reet, 2 of the most veteran Titan duos of the NA West region, going head-to-head, battling it out for this high ground. Jacob, this is just the 7th zone, and these engagements are already crazy.
Like you look up, you see, is that a bird? Is that a plane? No, it's 4 FNC as champions battling it out for the high ground, and Epic Well is trying to claim that top spot. Hot on Snacky's heels, not wanting to let him escape, but he turns. He still gets the burn though. Epic Well will survive, getting the siphon, still has the flopper, but Snacky drops down low for a moment. Even Reet there for a second. I thought his loot was going to go to shambles, and it does. It falls down low. Epic Well's not going to be able to make that his, but the high ground is still theirs to hold on to.
Be careful though, Lime hitting launchpad, trying to see if he can get an angle onto that high ground, but Arkham did an amazing job of going ahead early, claiming that high ground for the opposing duos that might have been looking for it, but now Rex left alone as a solo. We saw what happened to Reed. Rex is gonna have to clutch this up here, already has 2 eliminations, looking to make it 3 as he gets the shots, but it's not enough to get that elimination, and luckily enough, the Storm takes him down. Now 3 eliminations, and Rex is just getting started.
I was thinking there somebody might have snatched it away, but Rex is able to hold on, get the siphon, using the med mist, trying to get to zone before he continues using it to try to maximize as much as he's going to get out of it. Even has the splashes to get himself up to 200. But once again, former FNCS champions are back on top on the high ground with Rex almost getting taken out. 9 HP in a dream. He has the heals to kind of get himself back up, but does he have the time and the space?
Rex might play zone here with the med mist. He can sit inside of it for a little bit of time, but not too long, as all these players, they're getting eliminated. They're looking for these solos that don't have too much HP to work with. But look at this. Rex gets a great angle onto Zio, takes down one, but isn't able to get the finish or another elimination. Epic Whale and Arkham still on the high ground. Now they want to get some elims. They're hungry.